Yeah, they calling for a quarantine. What am I supposed to do? Look to the good book and it says to love one another. Look to the good book and it says to love one another. But the CDC says 6 feet apart or 6 feet under. Let me talk to you. All across the country, from sea to shining sea, they got us all on lockdown for COVID-19, and it makes me wonder. Yeah, it makes me wonder. They say 6 feet apart or else you're 6 feet under. Play it for me now. Hey, 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 hey. Tell old Bullock to go home now. Hey, hey, hey. Woke up this morning and I got some real bad news. Woke up this morning and I got some real bad news. Yeah, they calling for a quarantine. What am I supposed to do? Look to the good book and it says to love one another. Look to the good book and it says to love one another. But the CDC says 6 feet apart or 6 feet under. Let me talk to you. All across the country, from sea to shining sea, they got us all on lockdown for COVID-19, and it makes me wonder. Yeah, it makes me wonder. They say 6 feet apart or else you're 6 feet under. Play it for me now. Hey, 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 hey. Tell old Bullock to go home now. Hey, hey, hey. Let me tell you what Trump said. Trump said, don't you worry, I'm gonna send you a check. I can't help but thinking he's got more cards in his deck, and it makes me wonder. Yeah, it makes me wonder. They say 6 feet apart or else you're 6 feet under. They say 6 feet apart or else you're 6 feet.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to our first live webinar for the Holston Conference. So before we start, I want to go over just a couple things as we begin our conversation with the Cokesbury team all about live streaming and online worship. So before we start, several people have asked if this is going to be posted online afterwards. Yes, we're recording and it'll be posted on our Facebook page, also on our YouTube channel in a couple days. So if you have to tune out early, you can go back and check. If you know anyone who wasn't able to make it tonight, then they will be able to watch this later on. Next, very soon, I'm going to add a little window that'll pop up on the bottom of your screen that'll ask for any questions that you have. We want to spend most of our time tonight answering your questions. And so I have a lot of questions that people have already given me, some questions that we've kind of thought people might be asking, and then we will go into some questions that you all post live. Finally, this is the first time I've hosted a webinar. This is the first time I've done a Zoom call through Facebook Live. And so this is new territory for me too. And I think our three panelists tonight might agree that this is a little bit of uncharted waters. And so thank you for your patience. Hopefully everything goes well technologically, and hopefully we don't stumble over our words too much, but know that we are in it with you. We have plenty that we're dealing with. So with all of that underway, tonight we are talking all about live stream and online worship. And so we have the worship and production staff from Cokesbury Church here in Knoxville with us. I'm going to hold off on telling you too much about them. I'll have them introduce themselves. But they have been doing live stream and online worship for 8 years now, over 8 years now. And so I think they will share with you a lot of the successes that they've had, a lot of the failures that they've gone through, and the things that they have worked towards. So with that, I'm going to bring on Paul Jones first and have him share a little bit about what he does at Cokesbury and some of the history of what Livestream looked like for them. So here's Paul.
Awesome. Hey, thanks, Ben. Listen, the Davis Mitchell tune, that was killer. That was a great start to this. That was really exciting. Hey, I'm Paul, man. Thanks for joining us. I'm the Director of Contemporary Worship at Cokesbury. I've been there since about 2009, and we have been streaming since 2012. We actually tried to get some old videos to look at our first streaming when we were trying to get ready for this, and like, I can't believe we did that and we looked like that and we had all that. It was exciting to kind of look back and see how we've grown from where we started to now, and it brings up great fond memories, right, guys? Yeah, those are your favorite times back then. Yeah. We started live streaming really as a response to our recovery ministry. I mean, we needed to be able to send video out to remote locations, and we had some campuses as well. We wanted to do some DVRing so that we could have a message or some music at different locations and have people be able to watch them when they wanted to. And since that was set up for recovery, we went ahead and said, well, let's go ahead and set it up for our North Campus worship. At the same time, we were getting ready to do iMag, so we had some screens in the place installed and put in a couple of cameras so that people in the room, in the back of the room, could see us. And it kind of all happened sort of around the same time. And I mean, it was rough when we started. We had these security robot cameras that you didn't have to have camera operators. You had these little joysticks and you could move things around. So we looked like we were all on security footage, streaming out. And man, it was a great time, and we learned something every single week, from our internet connection is not good enough to struggling with getting the lyrics on the screen to, just trying to get rid of glitches and things like that. I mean, it was definitely a learning experience. It's been a great 8 years. And, when this all hit and it was like no more live church and hit, we're really blessed and fortunate to have been ready. But I got to tell you, even with all that practice, it still was a shock to us. It was like, oh gosh, there's things we still need to now work on and get right and change and make this a different experience. And so it's been a great time, and I'm excited for us to just share how we can help. I really want to talk less about us, but we'll talk about anything you want and take some questions and see what we can do.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Paul. Really quickly, before I introduce our next panelist, I see a lot of you all, or plenty of you, are starting to ask questions on that feed, on that drop down. If at any point a question comes up and you want to ask, there's a little icon next to the like button or the heart button that you can click on, and that will let you ask questions. Also, just if you all would please keep use that to post your questions as much as possible. If you ask a question in the comments, it may get lost in other comments, and we may not see it. So next up is Terry. Next up is Terry Winkle. So Terry, would you come on and introduce yourself and what your responsibility is? Yeah, we'll see what you have to say.
Hey, so yeah, my name's Terry, and I joke all the time and say that I've gone to Cokesbury School of Ministry because I have been at Cokesbury since 2002, and I have just had all kinds of little roles there. Started out in the youth ministry, did worship, and now I'm part of the creative team here. And so I'm just excited to offer what we can. And even maybe learn some stuff from you guys, because we are definitely still learning in this. We're learning new things all the time. We are not perfect, but yeah, it's been good and it's exciting and it's just really cool. I remember when all of this stuff first happened and lockdown and stuff, I was so pumped that first Sunday morning because I was like, oh my goodness, we have such a tremendous opportunity to reach folks that we have never had the opportunity to reach. People that were just looking for churches all over the country, all over the world, just somehow to get in a community and stuff. So it's exciting. And hopefully we can offer up something. And then like I said, learn together and grow through all of this.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Our last panelist is Chris Bullock. He's the technical director there. So Chris, do you want to come on and introduce yourself?
Sure. Well, hey guys, I'm Chris. I'm the technical director at Cokesbury, and basically I make sure everything works and run all the cables and, all that fun stuff. I'm really backbone more than anything. I've never seen, don't really talk much to people. So this is new. It's fun. This whole thing's been a great experience. I guess coincidentally, ironically, I really don't know the word for it. We rewired our entire system right before all this happened. We were planning for spring break, and then, this happened, which was honestly kind of nice because it was a little over our head at the time. It was a lot to do. I mean, we literally cut every single cable, and it was mayhem to get back to where we were. But I'm glad we did. And honestly, on that note, this is a really good time for us and several other churches I've spoken with to just grow. I mean, every single ministry we have has grown. It's been great. And I'm sure the same has happened, nationwide, if not worldwide, considering, the current circumstances. So it's a great opportunity. It's a great thing to happen for a bad time, if you will. But there's a lot of positive light there that I feel a lot of people are finally starting to see. So.
Awesome. Thanks, Chris. All right, so now that we have introduced our three panelists, well, first of all, I want to say my goal for tonight is to have the three of them talk as much as possible, and I will just ask questions and get them to start talking. So first, I want to ask, what is our goal? What's the goal of doing worship online? And specifically, how might our goals in doing online worship be different than the worship that we are leading in person? Paul, maybe you want to take this one.
That's a good question. It's a hard question right out of the gate. Thanks a lot, man. I think when we started this, the idea, back in 2012, it was, what, we want to reproduce the worship experience for maybe somebody that's gone on vacation. The kids had sports that weekend. They couldn't come in. And so, hey, jump on and catch. It was a catch what you missed idea. You couldn't come to worship. Catch it. If you missed it, you can catch it on there. And it kind of drove us for a little bit. And I don't mean that to sound trite, but I mean, I think that was our thinking. And then all of a sudden, 20 people watched, and then the next week, 50 people watched, and 100 people watched. Like, oh, wait a minute, this is becoming a thing. And so we've moved from that, from trying to just, recreate the experience that you were in the room. Hey, if you couldn't be here, watch this. It's just like being in the room. I think we've moved from that to now we must connect with people. Right now, it's our only way, or we're desperate to connect with people through online. It's our only way to worship with people. And I think it's changed I mean, we've had to go to a pre-recording scenario. It's been really important for us. We did it live twice, once or twice on Sunday morning. And when we had some technical issues, we thought, gosh, we can't let this happen, because if this is so critical now that we get this right and that this goes out, that we've gone to pre-record. And I think that's helped change how we do things. We think a little more about, are we going to pray here? What information are we giving? How's our timing? Do we have things in the right order? And so that's kind of shifted our thinking right now from trying to recreate an experience in the room to, hey, we are now going to connect. So that's kind of where we were.
Awesome. Yeah. So you mentioned pre-producing your service, and that's something I want to talk about. A lot of churches have switched from, even if they were already doing live worship online, they've switched to doing pre-produced services. Terry, do you think maybe you could speak to why that trend is happening, and maybe why you all chose to move towards doing pre-produced services rather than authentic live services?
Absolutely. We had issues going live the first couple of weeks when all of this happened, because now all of a sudden every church is trying to stream online. Every business is now, people are working from home. And so it was just like this massive internet bog down. And so we were scheduled to go live just like always. And then all of a sudden we couldn't. And so people were like, hey, this is our only source of church, and we want to be online. We want to worship. We want to be together as a community. So that's why we basically moved to a pre-broadcast, just to make it a little safer, a little bit less taxing on the system. So now we pre-do the videos. We come in the day before, so we have time to get that edited. And if there's anything that needs to be fixed, we can get it fixed. We can add captions. We can do all this kind of stuff to help our deaf and hard of hearing community. So it just kind of puts you a little step forward and gives you a safety net in case something were to go wrong. So now all the videos they're already on the server. We stream through Boxcast, just for some of the advantages that we get with them. And so it just makes it safer on our part. And one thing I wanted to mention too about the whole thing of being online versus being live in the building. Obviously, there's no substitution of being able to meet people and to be together physically in community. But even just the past couple of weeks, we've had an opportunity to share Jesus with someone in the Dominican Republic. And he sent us this prayer request and, was just telling us that he was desperate for just prayer and felt alone. And now this person has become a part of our church community, and he's asking questions and getting involved. And so I just think, man, again, what an awesome opportunity to know that Jesus is using this as a tool to help reach people that we just never had an opportunity to. This guy would never probably walk in the doors of our church, but yet now he's part of our family and part of our community from another country. And I just, to me, it's just the coolest thing in the world.
Yeah, absolutely. So a couple people are asking in the comment section or noting that an advantage to doing a live service is to create to foster better community, or to keep people more engaged. Have you all seen that you're still engaging your congregation, or what do you think has there been a trade-off to going to produced services? Terry or Paul?
Well, so one thing so we pre-record it. So first of all, I'll just say it. We do it on a Saturday, and we do it live in a row as much as we can. So we're not just going song by song, but we're trying to do 20 minutes at a time. We kind of stop and then swap for the message, but we do all that. But then we broadcast it live so that all the chats can be live, and we have people manning all the chat rooms in Boxcast and on YouTube and on Facebook. So from the end user, from somebody watching, it is a live experience because we've got people there. Whether we were doing it right at 10 o'clock or on Saturday, what they're seeing on the screen we can't talk to them on stage. We can't talk to them, but we have people manning the chat room so that can communicate with people right then. So we've chosen to not just have it wide open, but we broadcast it at 10, we rebroadcast 11:15, and then we do it at 5 o'clock on Sunday, and all of the chat rooms are manned so that there can be that interaction. Then we do it on demand after that. So we still have the same advantage that we would have had if we were doing it live. We still have that going on.
Absolutely. And I would say too that the more you engage with those people, when it's going live, even though it's a rebroadcast or a fake live, however you want to say that, the more you engage with those folks and keep them engaged, whether you have people talking back or not, just constantly be talking. And that does bring people in, and that does give them that sense of community. So, yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. Yeah, I think that is really important. I think there is a way to do pre-recorded services and still keep people engaged. There's a question of, is it disingenuous to pretend to be live when you're not? And I'm part of the team at Concord United, also here in Knoxville, and we do the same thing. We pre-produce our service and then live stream it on Facebook and on our website. And I think most of our members and probably visitors can tell that it's not actually a live service. A lot of times the pastor that's preaching is in the comment section in conversation with people and welcoming people and asking for prayer requests. And I think we do a pretty good job of making it clear that, it's not actually live. But it still offers that sense of community. Everyone is still there commenting and saying, hey, I miss you guys, or hey, I'm praying for you guys, or hey, I experienced this week and that was a really cool thing, an uplifting experience that I had. A lot of the same kind of conversations that people would have on a Sunday morning, they're still having in the chat room. And whether that service is pre-produced or if it's actually live, maybe that doesn't make as much of a difference as we might have thought to begin with.
Well, I would say, I can tell you, if you come from the onstage perspective of it, when I stood that first week that we were locked down, when I stood on the stage Sunday at 10 a.m., my heart was just as broken as it was the next week, Saturday at 10 a.m., when the room was still empty and I was still looking at the same thing. When we're worshiping, the people we're worshiping with, whether it's going to be in 24 hours from now or not, they're still on our hearts. They're still on our minds. We're still torn up about not having a room of people there, and we're still trying to show hope best that we can. And I think as we've gone through this, we've gotten better and better. I don't pretend that there's people there. I know the room is empty, but I also know that very soon a lot of people are going to be watching, engaging, and that we're showing hope, we're showing love, we're showing Jesus. And that's what we try to keep on our minds. So it's not ideal. It's not what we want to be doing. We'd rather be in a room full of people. And who knows how that's going to work. But I think we do just try to put ourselves in that place where we are doing this for the people that we can. It's about all we can do right now.
And I'll say too, being on staff for a regular Sunday morning, especially being on our tech team, production team, I don't really get to engage that much on a regular Sunday. And so having this online, I'm on chat, and it's just one of the coolest things to be able to engage with people and talk to people that I haven't seen in a long time, or some new people that, had no idea that I was even there. It's a cool little thing for staff to jump on and engage. And so it's just really cool to be a part of that too. Speaking from a staff person, it's just cool to be involved in that community as well.
Yeah, another option that is really similar to doing Facebook Live is a Facebook Premiere, and I see a lot of you all are commenting in the on the live stream that you all are using a Premiere. That's a really similar way to do a service on Facebook. If you're not familiar with what a Facebook Premiere is, basically you can upload a video to Facebook and basically like you would post a video on Facebook, and you can set it to premiere at a certain time. And so whenever you do that, it will send a notification out to all of your followers on the Facebook page that says, hey, Cokesbury Church is premiering a video. Tune in to watch it together. And just like a live stream, it has that comment section, and people can send all the floating hearts up the screen and do everything. So it's a great way to simulate a live stream. And a big positive for that, compared to doing a live stream on your phone or something, if internet connection is something that you're really worried about, or if you know you're in a space that doesn't have a good internet connection, the good thing about doing a premiere, and it's the same for a lot of broadcasting services, live stream services, you can upload that video to Facebook if you're doing a premiere, or if you're using one of the live stream services, then we'll talk a little bit about what some of those options are. You can upload your finished video to that service, and then they stream it for you. So they're hosting that video. So it may take you, way longer than you would hope to upload your video. But no matter how long that takes, once it's uploaded, it will show. It'll live premiere as it should. So on that note, I wanna shift just a little bit, and if we could talk, maybe Terry, about some of the options for live streaming solutions. So different platforms. So let's first talk about Facebook, YouTube, church streaming on your website, and then some of the services that are available to get you to those platforms.
So yeah, that's a big question. There are obviously Facebook and YouTube. You can stream to these guys for free, so there's no cost to you there. We opt for Boxcast. We've tried multiple different services. We started with Pixel, and Pixel was extremely expensive, and it worked great and looked great and all of that. But we're just like, there's just no need in us pouring that kind of money into that kind of. I'm not dogging them by any means. They're a great company. And so we then went to churchstreaming.tv, I believe is what it's called. And they, again, most of these platforms, what they'll do is you just give them your feed and they will push it out to multiple places at once. So you don't have to worry about doing everything individually. And of course, there's some free stuff that does that as well. We went with Boxcast just because of the options they give us. We have recovery services, and we have a few different locations across the country, and so they stream in with us live when we do that. And so they have the live DVR. We have a Johnson City campus. They also do that on Sunday mornings with us as well. But yeah, there are a ton of great free things out there. OBS is a great thing if you can get your camera feed into that. Boxcast, another cool thing with them is they have an app, so you can put it on your phone, you can go remotely and stream wherever you go, and it'll push it out to all different kinds of things. But yeah, if you're willing and able to stream, and I know most of you guys were just kind of telling you stuff you probably have already researched and known yourself. But if you have the ability and the desire to stream, money should not hinder you from that. I'm not saying that like expensive things, but there are so many free things out there that can help get you going, that cost, that are free, that are nothing. So does that answer your question?
Yeah, absolutely. There are a lot of different services, and we are going to, I haven't asked you all this yet, but if maybe you all would help compile a list of some of those. I know that Paul already sent me a long Google Doc of all the things he wanted to talk about on this call, and we probably won't get to all of them, but he included a list of some resources. And so I'm going to compile some of those from Paul and from some other people, and make those available too. So if you just heard a list of softwares or different platforms that you've never heard of, and now you forgot them, it's okay. We're gonna we'll push those out as soon as we can. All right, I want to get into some questions that people have been asking on the live stream. For those of you that may have come in late, welcome, by the way. Hopefully, and for some of you there might not be, I think it might be causing some issues, but hopefully there's an icon down next to the thumbs up and the heart that has a little question mark. So if you want to click on that and ask your questions, that's the best way for us to answer your questions. If you're asking questions in the comment feed, I'm going to try to go through them and find some, but I may miss them. So if you see that question mark icon on the bottom, that's the best place to ask your questions. I've also never used this display card button, but I'm about to try to put a question up on the screen, and we'll see what happens.
This is exciting. I'm excited. New technology. Do it.
I know. Let's see. So this is a question from Katie asking about some equipment. I'm going to hit it. Let's see. I don't know if it's coming up. Currently displayed. It says it's showing, but you guys can't see it. All right. Maybe it was a failure. I'll read the question, and then we can answer it. Katie asks, studio equipment needed and cost to transition from pre-recorded worship to live stream. So what's the bare minimum? What equipment might you need to transition to a live stream from live worship?
I think Chris needs to chime in a little bit here. He's been very quiet through this entire process.
Chris Bullock.
Well, I think, and I get a lot of crap for this. I'll say it. It always comes down to money and, and standards, really. What do you want? What are you aiming for? What is the end goal? How many people are really going to care if you have a, $2 million setup versus an iPhone? I mean, you can do it with just a phone. You can do it with just a computer. And then, from there, I mean, there are several different concepts within just a live stream that you can evaluate, and you can, upgrade little by little, literally stream by stream, which is how we did it. I mean, we started out, and if you go back and look at our streams, I'm not saying you should, but you can, from years ago, you'll see a drastic quality difference over time. And that's part of it, is just upgrading little by little. I mean, as Paul said, we had these little security cameras, and, we still have those things. They still work, but, we don't use them for the reason, that they don't look so great. But anyways, I mean, there are several different options that, range from anywhere from $100 to free, or, I mean, heck, you can spend thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars on a single camera if you wanted to, but, we don't even do that. There's really no need to, but I mean, it's really a by basis question, I feel. And I'd say the easiest way to do it is, if you're going to put finance into it, come up with a number. Say, this is what we have. Let's see what we can do with it. Look at the key areas that you want to improve, in any given instance. And, little by little, just, try to fix one thing at a time. Don't try to fix everything. Don't expect perfection out the door, but try to build towards something that you are comfortable with and that you're happy with.
Now, let me just jump in. So there's a couple of churches. I mean, like the one church I've got in mind, I can imagine that they're a kind of traditional contemporary hybrid church, right? And they've got a sound system. They probably have an 8-channel, 12-channel board in there. They've got some mics. They've got the piano mic'd up, a couple vocal mics. They've got a live service. Maybe they got maybe they do 2 services, and they're trying to get online. So, my question would be for them, or I think what we need to talk about is, okay, so how could they grab a couple of phones, grab an iPad, grab a simple camera, and how can we help them get online? And I think that's the trick. Now, I mean, if you're going to do it from an iPhone, Terry, we were talking about this. There are ways to get into that phone from your soundboard, right? So you could do something easy as tap out of a headphone jack or out of an output with a TRSS input, go into the phone, and then, like you said, find a service like Boxcast, Restream, something that will go from your phone, feed that audio into the phone, and then let that Boxcast or Restream send that out to Facebook, YouTube, and all the different places. Yeah?
Yeah. And that's the thing, that's something I learned, within the last 2 or 3 years is, I bought a Rode mic to plug into my phone, and I plug it in, and I'm like, why is this thing not working? And, I don't understand. Well, it came down to that simple little TRS adapter. And it's $12 on Amazon, and that solved the problem. So, you could plug in that little adapter and take your headphone jack and just go straight into your phone. And then you've got a board mixed into your phone.
Right. And I mean, it is okay. I mean, you can, I mean, if it all came down to nothing, you could stand up in your middle aisle, hold that phone up or get a camera on a tripod and record that whole thing. And it's streaming it out. It's the trick. If you do it from the phone, it's an easy way out to stream. If you just do it from a camera, somehow you've got to get that camera into a computer to stream it out. Kids are streaming out gaming platforms all the time. It can be done. PCs are made for this. You can find a PC that you can get a camera feed into and stream it out. Macs are sometimes harder to get into. But if you can take, if it's a simple setup, going from an iPad on Wi-Fi or a phone, tap some good audio into it. I mean, that's a great way to start right there.
And Black Magic products are great. I mean, that's what we use. They're affordable as far as the broadcast realm of things. They have a whole line of everything. And we were actually just talking about this little mixer that they have now that I think maybe $400 or $500. I'm not sure. I know that might be a little pricey when you first look at that, especially if you don't have a budget.
I think,
but in the grand scheme of things, this is really affordable thing. And, it's got like 4 HDMI inputs. So you've got 4 cameras there. So, I mean, it's really, Blackmagic is just great. They've got great products.
If you're a church just getting into this ATEM, I'm telling you, the base model, just the ATEM Mini is $295. And it'll take 4 HDMI inputs. You can mix audio inside this thing, hook it up, and it'll help you stream it out. Man, this is a great box. And if I was just going from a simple phone streaming and I wanted to take the next step, this is what I would get right there, because it's got a USB out to go into the computer. It's got killer audio setup, and it's just HDMI, so you can plug a phone in there. You can plug a camera in there. Man, that's a great box, and it's an inexpensive box. And ATEM, I mean, we have ATEM stuff all over the place, so I'd recommend that for a next step up to somebody.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a good breakdown, especially of the very beginnings of what it looks like to get into live stream. Definitely using an adapter. Chris has been throwing up links. Thanks for doing that. Those kind of adapters can make it really cost-effective ways to increase your production. I think one thing that I think is really important is if there's any one area of your live stream production quality wise that you can improve, it's your audio. Improving your audio is going to make the biggest difference. You guys can't see it because I'm talking, but Paul is in his camera going like this because he's agreeing with me. But audio, videographers will tell you, live streamers, Paul will tell you, people will tune out of your live stream if the audio is bad. If they're willing to overlook less than perfect video, but it's you're asking a lot more of your audience to overlook bad audio. Paul, would you agree with me on that?
Oh yeah. I mean, we watch a lot of reality television these days, right? So we see shaky cameras and stuff going all over the place. But if you've got to listen to 20 minutes of audio that's been grabbed 30 feet away, that's just nothing but this big room, and you got to turn your television or your computer way up, and you listen to your earbuds and you can't hear it, people will just let go. They just can't. You can't do it. The shot can be far away, but that audio's got to be close. And there's so many easy things. I mean, just getting a lav for your phone, even if your phone is still your main thing. And there's just so many different ways of getting better audio, and so many churches have a sound system. You've got them right there. You've got a soundboard. You're not that far. I mean, I can't think of a church that doesn't have some kind of soundboard in it. So you're so close. You're not that far away from upgrading your audio. Yeah, there it is. Chris you got this.
Chris he got those links.
And I did a little sound check on that little lav, and it actually sounds really, really good. I mean, just going straight into your phone. I was highly impressed. I'm like, probably will order us a couple because we just need, some of those when somebody's like, hey, I need to do a quick little Facebook Live, and we just don't have the mics just to give them without setting up all the gear. So I will probably order us several of those little guys to pass out.
And it's okay to see it. I think it's okay to see a mic stand. I mean, people want to hear good audio. So if your mic stand's in the shot, so what? If you got to get the camera closer, so what? Let it get in there. Get that good audio, whatever it takes, because it will just be a better experience for everybody.
Yeah, because I listened to a video. I watched a video not too long ago from a large church in the country, one of the largest in the country, and it was just the pastor sitting on his couch, and I couldn't hear him. He was so far away from his phone, I couldn't hear him. And so I just instantly clicked off because I couldn't understand what he was saying. So yeah, audio is a big deal.
And I know I've seen a lot of people asking about getting board mixes into phones, and there are some better ways to do this than not, for sure. I mean, most boards output XLR. So I looked up a few, and Zoom products are always a really good cost point for quality. We use them for a lot of recording needs. So does Paul. He can attest to that. So here's one of them that has 2-channel audio, pretty solid. IK Media makes the iRig Pro 2, iRig Pro Duo, and that takes stereo audio. And then obviously you can go up to thousands of dollars for these things. But here's an Apogee, which is a killer company, and that's sold directly through Apple even, but it's a little bit higher price point. But there are several options out there. I think the Zooms are the most affordable for the most reliable anyways, and it's a great company.
Yeah, and several people are asking. Somebody asked if you'd put the picture of the mic back up. You can if you still have that up. But for everyone watching, I'm going to ask right now if Chris at the end of this would send me a list of all of these links that he's putting up on the screen, and we'll compile that and post. Maybe we'll share a Google Doc with all of our all the links to stuff that we have mentioned in the stream. Chris Lee in the comments said that there are a lot of inexpensive shotgun mics that you can put on your phone. That's absolutely true, 100%. So I said before, yeah, okay. Chris is putting links in the chat. I've said before I'm on the team at Concord United, and a couple weeks ago, Daniel, our technical director, got a wired lavalier mic. I'm wearing one like this. That's what I'm talking out of. And an adapter for everyone's phone or for the pastors on staff at our church. And so they're doing daily. I'm trying to zip my jacket back up here. They're doing daily videos, devos, different kinds of things. And they're just using their phone, and then they have this lavalier mic, and the lavalier mic makes a huge difference. And I think the ones we got, I think we got a lavalier mic, and it came with a little mini tripod for your phone. Actually, next time one of you all talk, I'm going to run over and get the little mini tripod that I have, so I can show that, unless Chris can pull up a link before. But yeah, there are a lot of super inexpensive accessories if you're trying to do live stream with your phone. If you're stepping it up a little bit and you're thinking about how to do a longer service, or you want to have your camera farther away so you can't reach, there are also some pretty inexpensive wireless lavalier mics that you can use. I'm using the one I'm using now is a wireless one, and I have it plugged into my the receiver plugged into my computer, and the transmitter I'm just wearing like a pack in my pocket. There's a huge range of prices there, but there are some pretty inexpensive ones that you can do for that as well. Let's see. Let's pull up another question. Licensing has been a huge question. It's come up. I've had a lot of people ask that beforehand, and already some people have asked in the comments. Terry, you're pointing at someone, but we're not in the same orientation, so I don't know who you're pointing at.
I was pointing at Paul. Paul is the licensed guy.
Oh my!
Yeah. Paul, what you got?
Why can't we just play music? You know, we wrote it, and can't we just share it for free and just peace, love, and happiness? I don't understand why we have to do all of this. It's so crazy. Look, first of all, for the stuff you're playing in the room, and you might know this. I don't want to get too deep into all this, but look, you don't need licensing to play the stuff in your room, right? We're free to play whatever we want during our worship service. The tricks come when you throw lyrics up in one sense, right? So I think churches have got the idea now that CCLI, everybody's heard of it, right? When we throw lyrics up on the screen, when we print music, when we put things in the bulletin, we pay for that CCL license. It only gets us enough to put them up on the screen, throw them in a bulletin, put them on a song sheet, all that kind of stuff. When the streaming thing started happening years and years ago, CCLI got smart and said, hey, we have agreements with all of the, or most all of the Christian publishers, so we're going to put out a streaming license. So CCLI makes a streaming license, and what that lets you do is stream what you did inside your church. It's not very expensive. I mean, for a church our size, where we've got a couple of thousand, you know, it's $100 a month for us. And so it's really reasonable. So CCLI streaming license is really all you need. Now, for our church, we kind of sometimes will do a pop song every now and then. So we have to move to Worshipcast, which actually covers all ASCAP, BMI, and CSAC catalogs. And so we go with Worshipcast. Again, it's about 100, 120, 130 bucks a month for a church our size. So you go in and it's by church size. So you should go to CCLI or Church Copyright. I don't remember the Church Copyright something, and go put in your church size, and it'll let you know about how much it'll cost.
Yeah, awesome. And then I want to be really clear. Paul, does a CCL license, either the basic license or the live stream license, does that allow you to play the produced songs on your live stream?
Ask me that again. The produced? Do you mean the songs that we've performed?
No. Can you play, like, from Spotify or from iTunes? Can you play those songs, and what happens if you do?
You'll get
No,
kicked
you
pretty
can't.
quick.
Yeah, you'll get muted by Facebook immediately. But let's talk about that, because it's not so bad. We use Boxcast, and I'm going to use the term an aggregate service, right? So we stream to Boxcast, and it aggregates out. It goes to different places. In theory, when we stream to Boxcast, it doesn't care what we do. We're responsible for our own license. So on Boxcast, is this right, Terry? I see you shaking your head. On Boxcast, if we were to, we won't. But let's talk about it. If we were to play a Spotify list, a Pandora list, a pre-recorded list from iTunes, something like that, Boxcast wouldn't care. Now, somebody might jump on our site and we would get in trouble. We should not do that. I'm just saying, Boxcast doesn't monitor like that. Facebook, you got about 3 seconds and they'll shut you right down. As soon as they hear that from Spotify, from anything else, they'll mute you. Is that right, Terry? You shaking your head? Yep. Okay.
Sorry, I have my mic muted. I have a ton of cats and they're like running through the house like herds. So sorry.
That's all right.
Excuse
It's
mine
real
if you see
life.
him pop in.
It's real life here, folks.
Facebook will knock you down right away, and they'll mute you. Will they mute the whole video, Terry, or do they just mute those sections?
Well, when we first started streaming on Facebook, they kicked us completely off. So they would shut the stream down. I don't know if they still do that. We just stopped doing pre-recorded music altogether because we would stream and it would be like, hey, what happened in the stream? It was going great. Well, that was because our pre-service slides had a Spotify playlist. And so it would just completely kick it off.
Now and then YouTube, if you decide to go to YouTube, you get what's known as you probably would get a copyright claim, and it's going to say it's nothing to be worried about. They'd probably say, hey, you used copyright material, so tell you what, you used that Lauren Daigle song, so we're going to let Lauren Daigle make 0.0000.01 off of your stream, and it's cool, and you can do it, but after a while, you might get a strike on it. But it's not something we recommend. So all of our stuff, from pre-service to the videos that we make, anything that we play, comes from libraries that we find online. So, you know, Adobe, Envato, Audio Jungle, Pond 5, all those places. We grab music from there. It's sometimes we pay, sometimes it's free. I don't remember. I don't know. But we pull that. We're allowed to use that music, and then we don't get hit with mutings or copyright problems or things like that.
One of the things that we use a lot is Envato Elements, and Envato Elements is a monthly subscription. I'd have to look to see how much that is. But you get stock video, you get graphics, you get After Effects templates, you get music. It's great for this monthly feast. You get all of these things, fonts, you have all of this creative content at your fingertips, and it's free download as many times as you want. So for our videos and stuff, that's usually where most of our music comes from. So it's called Envato Elements.
Yeah, throw that link up for Envato Elements, because that's a great resource right there.
Yeah, I want to ask a clarifying question real quick about licensing before we move on. Stephanie asked, Paul, are you saying that you have both CCLI and Worshipcast? Do you need both of those, or did you transition from now you're just using Worshipcast?
We have the CCLI license to show the lyrics in the room. Even though there's nobody there, it's heartbreaking. But we're showing the lyrics in the room. We're putting them on the screen. So, and that's interesting. With nobody there, we actually showing the lyrics on the screen. No, I think you got to have it. You got to keep that license. But we don't have the CCLI streaming license now. We've moved over to Worshipcast because we are doing, when we do Lean on Me or Man in the Mirror by Michael Jackson, if we do any of those songs, we can't, that does not cover it under CCLI. So we might move over to Worshipcast, which is then covers the whole ASCAP, BMI, and CSAC catalog. So we have the CCLI license for lyrics, not the CCLI streaming license, but the Worshipcast license to spit it out.
Yeah, so there's a basic license for CCLI which allows you, gives you permission to play songs, to have lyrics up on your screen, and that's the basic level of license that most CCLI members use. And then CCLI has another one which is for streaming, and many churches have that. That's what we use at Concord. So you're saying that you have moved on from using the streaming license at CCLI, but you still use their basic for in-person.
That's correct. That's correct.
Awesome. Okay. Let's see. Let's move on to another question. Also, I've been told that it did work when I put it up on the screen. So I think that is pretty cool.
Yeah,
we're all learning. We're all learning new things today. Let's see. Okay, this is interesting, and this is not something that I have used before, but I've heard some other people talking about it. Don King, I'll throw it up. There'll be a delay before you all can see it on the call, but Don King says, we've been streaming Facebook and have people call in to freeconferencecalling.com live. Good way to do that pre-recorded. And so I think this is an option where people can, those who aren't on Facebook or don't have the capacity to watch live on Facebook or on YouTube, this is a service that they can call in on their phone and listen to an audio-only broadcast of the service. I haven't done anything with that or experienced that before. Do you all? And if you don't, that's fine. Do you all have any experience with those?
We don't. We're on the radio at 10 o'clock on Sunday, but I've not done that, but I think that's interesting. I mean, I could see us moving. I mean, it might be something worth exploring for Alexa or for something like that, to see if we could just stream audio only from these into an Alexa or to Google, whatever the Google thing is.
Yeah, I think
Google
that's
Home.
Google Home. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's an interesting idea, and especially for, I think there are a lot of congregations with older congregants who don't have the means or don't feel comfortable finding the live stream on Facebook or on the church website. I know I've been on some calls and some conversations with pastors who say that they have people like calling their church office saying that they know there's a service happening somewhere, but they don't know how to watch it or listen to it. So that's a really cool option. if that sparks your interest, maybe you all can check that out more.
I think it's a great idea. I really like that a lot.
Okay, I want to ask, here's another one. Let's put the card up. How might a low-budget production maintain sanctuary worship online once congregations come back without disrupting those present? So, if and when we transition back to doing in-person worship services, what might a process look like to add live stream where at a church where they didn't have it before?
I think once again, it depends on how you're doing it and what you're trying to accomplish. I mean, honestly, I guess we've done it for so long that it really isn't too, isn't really even noticed by people. I mean, we have cameras out in the middle of the audience and people don't seem to care that they're walking by these people, or there's people scooting across the middle of the stage on a seat, firing literally across the stage with the camera in hand. And if you're doing it from a phone or anything like that, you could be sitting in the congregation, no one would even know it. Or you could be at the back of the room, wherever your audio console is, assuming you have one, or, on the stage even. I mean, I really don't think it'd be too disruptive. Obviously, you don't want to be standing right in front of people as they are trying to worship. But, I mean, there are definitely ways you can make it non-abrasive. Like, for instance, with our camera in the back of the room, we do have a section of chairs, probably about, 3 feet on all sides of that camera booth that, or there is not a section of chairs, should I say, within 3 feet of all sides of that camera. And, basically try to tuck the wiring in as best you can. Obviously, ours goes up and through our ceiling just because we don't want to have it dangling on the floor. Side note, right now, we do have wires running all across the floor, and it's great. It makes it so easy to do whatever we want to do right now. But obviously, once we get back into the swing of things,
Right, there's
whenever that happens,
over them right now. So
exactly. Yeah. Aside from people walking around the back, and they'll be all right. But
I would say too. I just totally lost my train of thought. If you want to go into a more higher end production, I mean, some of those little cameras that you can control with a joystick, they're not terrible. I mean, especially some of the newer ones, they look actually fairly decent, and you can put them on a wall. When we had them installed in ours, we have poles in our worship room because it was a former Lowe's building, so they're like load bearing poles that we couldn't remove. So we just put cameras on there, and one thing I think we've all learned in this pandemic is our online presence has got to be there, because, what we knew as normal may not ever be normal again. And so there's going to be folks that 6 months from a year to now are still not going to feel comfortable about walking into a church and sitting in a room full of, hundreds of people. And so I think whether we like it or not, we all have to be striving to try to get an online presence and keep it going. And, we were talking about this. I know it's exhausting and some of us feel a little overwhelmed. We have a full production team at Cokesbury and we're still feeling overwhelmed, and it's, we're tired and exhausted. So it's just trying to find this new balance of how do we keep doing the things we're doing, offering kids things and things for students and worship and all of this. But I just don't think it's going to go away. I think this is kind of something that we all have to try to be striving for, whether it is on their phone. And if we're already doing it on the phone, let's try to, we have a saying, progress, not perfection. So let's try to work for progress and just, maybe add something new once a year and then eventually, which is what we did. I mean, you eventually get to a point to where you've got a really nice online presence.
My wife and I met at a church here in Knoxville years and years ago, and it was a great church. I'm really fond of this church, and immediately when this started happening, something caught my eyes. Like, I'm gonna jump on Facebook and see what these guys did. And excuse me, the first thing I saw was their pastor. The first video, there was their pastor, and he had a TV on a table, and he was close to the phone, and he was preaching, and I was like, man, that's the way to go for it. He didn't have music or anything, and I think he even said in the video, listen, this is what I got. This is what we can do. And he was close to the thing, and he had a TV on there, and it was great. A couple weeks later, I see him, and they've got the worship team on. They've all got mic headsets on, and they're presenting a song on there. It's just one song, probably something they never thought that they would do 4 weeks ago, 5 weeks ago. but they figured it out and they did it. So, for that church right there, which is just, it's again, sort of this hybrid contemporary traditional church, streaming 2 months ago they would never have put a camera in the sanctuary because it would have gotten in the way. Now I guarantee they're talking about where can we put this? Where could we, we've got TVs in there already. Where can we have some different things? How can we make things better? I mean, I just think, I don't know I don't think none of us can predict where we're going to land with all of this, but I think every church, I think this is going to be part of how we're going to move forward. And, I'm just excited that the churches on all levels are getting into this. So there you go.
And at this point, you're pretty much making installations anyway, so why not use them? It's only building your church, and it's only growing you guys in total. So I mean, it's a good thing. Don't let your time go to waste, really. You know what I mean? Don't just do this temporarily. I think it's a great thing to keep on going because it only helps you in the end. It does not hurt you.
Yeah, Terry, I love what you said. Process over perfection. Incremental improvements is the way to make this happen. And so I think maybe Chris brought up, like, if you're starting with a phone in the back of the sanctuary, that's a good, if that's where you're at, that's a good place to start. Anything is better than nothing. And then, from there, maybe you go to using one of the adapters that we talked about to get a line from your board into your phone. There's not, that limits a little bit of your mixing capabilities, but it's a good next step. And then maybe you get another camera with a zoom lens on it. Maybe you get a RoboCam that you can control with a joystick. You make all these small incremental improvements. We started this thing. Paul talked about the beginnings of what the Cokesbury Livestream looked like, and they didn't have manned cameras all over the place, and they didn't have, all of this sound equipment and streaming and all, incremental steps. Whatever you can do right now, do it. I guarantee you or someone in your church has a phone that has a camera. So if taking a video and then posting it on Facebook that's where you're at, that's a good first step. Whatever you can do, anything is better than nothing. And there's a lot of incremental steps that you can take. I think we've done a pretty good job of putting out some of those incremental steps. Let's see. Are we ready for another question?
This is fun. I like this game. Let's do some more. I'm ready.
All right, we're still going strong. We have 70 viewers, so we're still going at it. I'm going to open it up. I think I actually had it closed. So keep the questions coming if you have more questions. Let's see. Okay, this is a quick one, and actually maybe I'll jump in and answer a question. Candace asks, on a premiere, does the video feed start at the beginning or when people log in? I'm sorry, I messed it up. When people log in, does the video start at the beginning or at the current spot of the premiere? And so to answer that pretty quickly, when the video is premiering, it's just like a live feed. And so they can't rewind and look at it from the beginning. So whenever you click and join in, then you're at the live point where everyone is watching together. Usually a few minutes after the premiere is over, Facebook will post the full video, and then they can go back and rewatch it and skip through it and find the parts that they like. Did I explain that correctly? Does anyone need to correct me on that?
It was good.
Great. I'm trying my best to have you guys answer the questions. I don't want to answer the questions. Let's see. Metrics. Let's talk about metrics. We've had a couple questions about metrics. Katie asks, which metrics are you paying attention to in your broadcasts? And then what are you doing with those metrics? Are you following up?
It's Terry Winkle.
I had to unmute my mic. Internet numbers, viewing numbers are so tricky. So with Boxcast, another thing is that it gives us really great analytics. And so, you have a thing of where you have a thing called unique viewers. I'm assuming I'm answering this correctly, so you guys can nod or whatever. I don't know if I'm doing this right or not, but anyway, so you have a thing called unique viewers, which that means that's a unique IP address. So your Facebook views may look like you've got tens of thousands of views on your Facebook view. Well, that could be me logging off 500 times to look at that video. So you have a unique view. So we kind of take it all in account. It's so tricky. So we look at our unique viewers. Boxcast is a little weird in how it does those unique views because it doesn't count social media, which I don't understand why. I guess it's just the way their platform is set up. So we look at unique views. We do look at Facebook views. Facebook breaks those down into like 3 second, 5 second, I think 10-second views. And that's where, for whatever reason, they stop counting that. YouTube's the same way. You've got YouTube views. So we kind of take that all into account. And then I just give our numbers to who's the person that's in over that at Cokesbury. And I don't know how they really kind of look at all those kind of numbers piled together. But you also have to take into account that even though we might have, 400 or 500 unique views, that's families worshiping together. So it's not just one person sitting in front of a TV watching worship service. That could be a family of 4. It could be 2 people. It could be a single person. I know some churches will take that number and kind of multiply it, and just to kind of give a general thing of analytics.
We call that preacher math, right? Oh, I can't believe he said it. I thought I was muted. Did I say that? Right. So we have 3,500 watching, and then preacher math, we have 10,000 watching. I'm gonna mute my mic now.
Yeah. So you just all have to kind of take the numbers with a grain of salt. And one thing that I'm kind of looking at now is, the consistency of those numbers, and not get so worried about the number itself, but just make sure that we're still engaging folks, a good chunk of folks, and it goes from there. And the thing I like, and if you're not using church online platform, that's a great free thing that you can embed a code in. So if you have like you can push your videos to that, and it gives you some analytics as well. It kind of tells you about who's watching on what device, which if you look at any analytics, you will see that most people are watching from a mobile phone. And so you kind of have to think about things like that. And, but yeah, churchonlineplatform.com, I think is what it is. If not, I'm sure you can do a Google search and it'll come up. And it enables you to chat and do all that kind of stuff as well. It's a great free resource. Did I just ramble on like forever?
Good
I'm not,
good stuff.
I'm not good at this thing. I hate it.
I would love to backtrack 1 minute back to where we were talking about different streaming platforms. There's one other big reason we went to Boxcast. And if you guys are using cameras or any way of inputting video into like a streaming encoding device, the reason we use Boxcast is that, or one of the bigger reasons anyways, is because they provide us an encoder. They provide us a separate unit that we connect to a hardline internet connection, or it can run off Wi-Fi. I wouldn't recommend it. We learned that the hard way right at the start of this whole thing when I forgot to plug it into the internet connection. But a lot of these other companies, like for instance, Pixel and Livestream, we ended up having to have a computer that was able to process all of that data, take in the video and then encode it for streams, send it out, and use all that within its internal bandwidth. And capabilities, and graphics cards and whatnot. It can get really expensive when you're trying to build a machine for streaming. So one big benefit to companies like Boxcast that supply you with an encoder is that they do supply you with an encoder, and it takes on all that horsepower. All you have to do is have a reliable internet connection, and it does the rest for you. And that has been a godsend for us. I mean, I can't even remember how many times we had to sit there and troubleshoot these massive old PCs these companies would send us that were just, awful to deal with. But
And they also have servers throughout the country. So it doesn't matter where you're watching. So, you could be close to Atlanta and you're going to have a good feed. You could be close to Washington State and still have a good feed. So they have servers throughout the country and even the world. So it really tries to help stabilize that connection, especially if you're doing a multi-camera setup and not just a Facebook Live from your phone.
Yeah, awesome. All right, I wanna switch gears again. Maybe this is a question for Chris. I'm trying to find. I've lost the question. I was gonna throw it up. Oh well. Chris, there was a question about what's the minimum? What needs to happen to be able to wire multiple microphones into the same live stream feed?
So, I mean, I guess the easiest way would be to have some form of a audio mixing device, like a board. I mean, honestly, some of those interfaces I showed you earlier, you can plug multiple microphones with those. I mean, you can get them. They go up to several microphones per phone or whatever. But the easiest way would probably be to get a cheap soundboard or an expensive soundboard, whatever floats your boat. But get some form of actual sound mixing device with a little bit of EQ, a little bit of gain control, faders you can push up and down to turn things up and down as you need to. And that is by far the easiest way and the least pain in the neck way. I mean, you can use a Mackie that you got on eBay for $20, or you can use, $50,000 audio consoles. I mean, at the end of the day, as long as you get audio into your stream, that's what matters. And if you can mix it literally with faders or something, knobs, anything that you can turn up and down those levels individually, it's going to help a lot and make it a lot easier to combine that audio.
Chris, if they have a soundboard that's 20 years old sitting in a closet somewhere, will that work?
I would test it before you rely on it on a Sunday, but sure, get some contact cleaner and some pipe cleaners and, clean out everything. It should work. I mean, we have Mackies from 20 years ago we still use. I mean, for beach retreats and stuff like that, we brought them out and they kill it, man. They're great little boards. I mean, I can't stand the sound all the time, repetitively, but, in terms of getting by and getting a mix somewhere, no one's ever complained, but really the audio guys, just because they're used to nicer things. But they work.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's ways to use whatever equipment you have, even if it is taking just a single line out from like the monitor on the soundboard into your phone or something. There are ways to do that. All right, I don't want to keep everyone on here for too long. We've been on for a while, but there's a couple more questions I want to ask. So Daniel asks, how can we, a low budget and low tech situation, do the live transmission of a pre-recorded service? So what might the process look like for live streaming a service that you've filmed and pieced together? Maybe this is a Terry question.
I'm trying to gather my thoughts on that. So repeat that question again. So
what does the process look like to pre-produce a service and broadcast it live on Facebook?
So again, I think that goes back to the premiere. What we do is we come in a day early. We try to do it as live as possible, the best that we can, because we also want it to have a live feel, and we don't want it to, so we try to engage and look in the cameras and, and all that kind of stuff. So we do all of that. We do all of this obviously through Blackmagic. We have most of our whole system is Blackmagic, just walking you through our process. I then take those files. We do the sermon separate. So we record the music as live as we can. We do the sermon at the end. And so I piece those together, and I'm an editor, Final Cut Pro. I know Paul and I have had these little conversations of whether we do Final Cut Pro or Premiere. I'm a Final Cut Pro person.
Premiere.
Yeah, I'm all Adobe Premiere.
And, I was a huge Final Cut Pro before they made this drastic change years ago. And so I just stuck with them. I use both, but Final Cut's my main go-to. There are also free software out there that you can use. iMovie, if you've got a Mac, iMovie is great. If you want to pay a little bit, you can do Adobe Rush. It's $10 a month. And you get free upgrades with all of that. And it's also, again, a really super easy editor. And I believe there's even an app that you can download on your phone. That's, I think, free. I don't think you have to pay for that.
There is, you still have to have the subscription to be able to use it. But the app is free. There's another middle ground called Adobe Premiere Elements, which is really very similar to Premiere Pro, but it honestly it probably makes it a little bit easier for someone who hasn't done video production before.
Yeah. So there's great, I mean, there's really free and low cost video editors out there. And you do want to kind of invest in something, in my opinion, because that helps with your load as well. It makes it easier to put these videos together. So then once I get that down, I spit it out. Again, we use Boxcast. I know this has been a great advertisement for Boxcast. And I upload everything to Boxcast, and so it spits it out for me. But again, you don't have that. You can do that on Facebook. And once you upload that video, when you upload it, it asks you how you want to publish it, and you want to publish that as a premiere, and that treats it just like a live event. Just says premiere there rather than live. But that's the process that we go through. So again, invest in some video editing software, whether it's iMovie for free on a Mac, whether it's Adobe, either, whatever they have there. It's just great.
Terry, I know this isn't a simple question, but good luck with this. What format, when you export your movie, what do you export to upload?
Most everything, especially if you upload things to Instagram. Instagram only takes MP4 files. They're like the black sheep of all social media for whatever reason. At least that's what our communications to our social media team is telling me, which I totally trust because I know they're watching. MP4, MOV are your two standards. You can't go wrong with that.
H.264, really.
Well, that's right. And that's your codec that you're going to use. But yeah, so yeah, H.264. I think it's even H.265. I mean, you got all of that stuff now. And but yeah, if you're uploading to Instagram, do MP4, and those softwares will spit that out, and they'll even give you the option of how you want to spit that out to make sure you've got the right file format. Does that answer your question, Paul?
Yeah. I just thought people would like to know.
Yeah.
Me.
Awesome. All right. I want to wrap up pretty soon. I have one more question for Paul. Well, maybe a couple more. First, there's a pretty simple question. Countdowns and other kind of smaller stuff that you might recommend for stuff that doesn't really take a lot more effort or time. But what are some small tips that you think you have for adding into your live stream?
Well, so, the countdowns were always a goofy thing for me. I didn't like them at first. But as we started making recordings and doing things, and especially, I hate to say it like this, but especially as I've been sitting in my pajamas on Sunday and watching the stream, I realized kind of the importance of it's that moment. I mean, if you go into church, you get there, if you were live, you would go in a few minutes early, talk to some people and kind of get ready. And when I see that countdown now on our video, it just kind of makes me get everything out of the way. Everybody gets settled. We're going to sit down and we're going to watch this when my family sits down. When that countdown's going, it's time to wrap it up. We're going to sit. So the countdowns are easy. And Terry, there's all kinds of resources to create those, right?
Oh yeah. I think there's all kinds of like little YouTube things that are out there that you can get for free. And there's all kinds of little stuff out there, and they're super easy. Like if you have ProPresenter with stuff that you can do countdowns and stuff with all of that. And I think Proclaim is another one that might be out there as well. But yeah, you can do all of that stuff with countdowns.
And then, I'm a big fan of the recorded updates and the announcements. Even before all of this, we tried to move to recorded updates because, it's tricky. I mean, it is hard to it's tough. You've got an announcement. You've got we have a short amount of time. We have parking lot issues, and so we can't ramble on with things. And so we try to get our announcements nice and streamlined. And now that we are online only, I think it's important with graphics to just reinforce what we're trying to say. I mean, I want you to know that this event, we did a pizza thing for firefighters. Not only do I want you to know about it, but I need you to see the text on the bottom to go to the website and do these things. And if you just read that on camera, hey, we're doing this thing and we're going to make it happen, you don't get the information. But when we can put the text on a pre-recorded announcement, then it kind of triggers you, hey, I need to jump on Cokesbury's app. I need to jump on the website so I can get more information about it. So, countdowns, pre-recorded updates. We're also using a little sermon bumper. We make a 30-second sermon bumper just as a transition time. We just finished a feature song, and instead of just going from a feature song right to the pastor, we just have a nice little 30-second transition, which has our graphic and kind of lets everybody know, hey, we're in a series now. The series is called Hope, and we're now going to move into a message that is about that. So those things have been really good. Lower thirds to introduce everybody who speaks. Because we want to know who these people are. And it's just, even like the lyrics that you put on the bottom, we like to put a lot of lower thirds so that you know who these people are. We also, of course, instead of doing full screen graphics for scriptures and messages, we do some of that, but we also do lower thirds so we can still see the person speaking. Am I leaving out any else?
I don't think so. Really quick, I want to show, a little bit of what you were talking about here. So you mentioned ProPresenter and some countdowns and timelines. So ProPresenter is what I used like when we started the stream. We use this one right here. There's our countdown. There's our title. There's a lot of great ways that you can use ProPresenter or Proclaim or Media Shout. Those are the big ones, I think.
It's like you're using that tonight.
That's what I just said, Chris.
Oh, sorry. I'm over here looking at streaming speeds.
That's okay. But especially if you're pre-producing your service, this stuff gets a lot easier. It's a lot easier to add lower thirds, to add graphics and stuff like that to your pre-produced services. There, at Concord, we use a subscription service called Creation Swap, and that gives us tons of stock images, and that's where I pulled all of these. I mean, half an hour before we went live tonight, I went on and said, hey, I need a countdown, and it gave me 50 million of them to choose from, and there's that, So we also do, here's all the announcements that we roll at the beginning of our service. We do some verbal announcements. We have someone on camera sharing some announcements, and then we also do a kind of a pre-service loop of these announcements. And almost all of these have a link or some kind of call to action for where they can go to connect or to share a prayer request or to ask for help, to join a class or a small group, all these kind of things. It's so important to give them concrete examples of how they can take that next step, how they can engage with what you're saying. I mean, you have video as a tool. You're not taking advantage of it if you're only saying and you're not showing. And so there's a lot of good can be done by, even if they're just still graphics like those that I just showed you. You can have somebody talk and then pop that up for 5 seconds while they're talking about it and take it away again. Showing them, giving them another way of taking in that information can be really effective.
Hey,
Yeah,
Ben,
and I was going to say too that goes back to Paul's thing. Put a TV behind you and have somebody running a computer that goes in that TV. You don't have to have yet another source going in that you have to switch to. So yeah, I mean, we did a sunrise thing where it was one of our pastors and her husband. She's got the computer sitting up on the table running lyrics and he's behind it playing the guitar. So there's ways to incorporate that kind of thing without having to have another input on top of that and then a source to switch back and forth. So you can still shoot that on your phone and still have it effective with a TV or a computer or something like that.
Hey, Ben, can I jump in? I saw a question over in the chat. Can I just jump in with it? Is that okay?
Yeah, do it.
So someone was asking, can you discuss how small churches can produce music when each part is produced remotely? Are there low-tech options for recording and mixing? So, and gosh, it's the thing to do, right? Everybody's doing the grids and the 4 parts and the 12 parts and everything. I attempted one for Easter. I cried several times while doing it because it was a lot of work. But first of all, there are some really simple apps. Like on your iPhone, you can get the thing called the Acapella app. So, it's the thing where you can do 6 parts yourself. And I understand that there's one where other people, I don't know the name of it, but there is an app where other people can join. Do y'all know about that? Does anybody know the name of that? I'm going to research that for you because I know that exists. But I'll tell you how we did ours. We found a piece of music by Hillsong, and it was, what was it called?
It was the big popular song for Easter this year.
Praise the Father, praise the Son. So anyway.
King of Kings.
King of Kings, that's what it was. And so the way we did it was I said, okay, I want, 20 people to come in and sing the last verse and chorus. And so I chopped off an audio file. It was easy to do. You can do that. And I sent it to some people. And this is what I said to do. Take this on your phone. You can play it from the text that I sent you. You can do whatever. And grab a second anything, an iPad, a camera, whatever you can. Put some headphones on so we don't hear the music you're hearing, and just sing it. Sing along with it. Sing the part, sing whatever. And so they all did it. And I got to tell you, I got every video combination you could get. I got landscape, portrait, I got good quality, I got great quality, I got Android. Sorry, that was a shot. I shouldn't have done it.
You got 4K and 24 frames per second.
I got everything. Yeah, I mean, it was just crazy. But I had everybody texted and Facebook, and I got it from everywhere. So then I went into Final Cut, and I also worked in Premiere as well. And I just lopped off the front parts of all of those files and lined them up by hand. And so a video editing program, I just brought each piece of footage in, listened to it, and nudged it by frames back and forth. It wasn't that hard. And then once they were all nice and lined up, you go into the editing program and you shrink all the squares down and you line them up in a grid. I had to do the math for everything match, and then spit it out. I mean, it was kind of that easy. I mean, I've thought about doing some other ones, and the way I would do it is, let's say that I had let's say we wanted a choir to sing an anthem, right? An SATB anthem, and maybe the soprano start first and the alto start later. So you've got this video of this alto sitting around and waiting. Well, the way I would do it is I would send them a recording with me before the song starts. I would say 1, 2, 3, clap. And I would ask everybody in the video, no matter where you come in at the top of the video, will you just say 1, 2, 3? Then I can see those claps in the audio files, and I can line them up. And even if the alto doesn't sing for 2 minutes, I can go back. I can line up the beginning of the file and then make the edit from there. That's kind of how I would do it. And you're right. I saw somebody meant the Acapella app. I know that there's an app that will do one person can do everything. I thought there was an app where people can kind of throw in, you pick the song, you invite a bunch of people, everybody can throw them in. But if I'm making that up, then I'm going to invent it, and we're going to make hundreds of dollars. So,
is there an audio software program that would be easy, or just, I mean, I don't know. I guess you wouldn't do that separate from video. So that was really a stupid question on my part.
I mean, I did a second step, and I brought it into one of my audio programs, Logic Pro, and I won't say I auto-tuned, but I assisted a few. I can help them out a little bit.
So do you all know of any audio apps or something that like editing software? I guess GarageBand would be one for Mac users.
Yeah. So I'm working on doing the very same thing that Paul just talked about. We at Concord have a really phenomenal student band that leads worship for the youth service on Sunday nights. Shameless plug. But they wanted to do some kind of project, and so yeah, I did the same thing that Paul just talked about. I'm still working on producing it. I'm putting it together in GarageBand, and then I'll do the video separately. I don't know if Paul mentioned this or not, but yeah, somebody else said Audacity. Audacity is a free audio program.
Everybody loves Audacity.
Great call, Jeff. But yeah, so the important thing, if you're trying to do this, where you're having people send in clip videos of themselves singing, is you have to send them a track to listen to. So they need to hear a click, which is just like a metronome, so that they can stay together. I'll show you all. I'm not going to play it. I was on a call earlier yesterday and I tried to play it and it did really mean things. But here's what my setup looks like right now. So I have this click track up here and it's really just like a metronome. And it keeps people together. And then I have like, here's the lead vocalist and here's the piano and a keyboard, acoustic guitar, drums. So all of these people filmed or will film themselves playing or singing. And the key is that they listened to a track like a metronome for everyone to stay together. Otherwise, tempos get messed up and people don't come in at the same time. And it's not a super easy thing to do. There's a lot of time. There's a lot of time that goes into to doing a video and a song like that. But it is cool.
I got halfway into mine and thought about just telling everybody the hard drive crashed and walk away, but I finished. Not okay.
I like it. All right. Well, we've been going for an hour and a half. It might be time to wind down. So before we do, I want to ask if you all, each of you, or one or two, whatever, if you all have any closing words to share, words of encouragement, things that we've left out, or anything that you think our loyal viewers after an hour and a half, they've stayed for an hour and a half, what words of wisdom do you have for them?
Don't give up.
Don't give up. Yeah.
Keep it up.
That was so quick that his little mic, it didn't even stay on there very long. It's like, what is he saying?
Well, I can say, before Cokesbury, I was at Ginghamsburg Church in Ohio. Everybody hates me. My team's tired of hearing that. But I learned to be on camera there in Ohio. And then here at Cokesbury, we moved from just being on camera to being on the stream. And I got to tell you that I was comfortable with it and I was happy and life was just all great, right? And then this happened. And I was sharing with these guys earlier, the first week when this all started happening, and they're like, you're not going to have people in the room, and this is the only way you're going to communicate. And I did have my own personal, what are we doing? And in the first week, my panic, and I know my team will agree with this, my panic was, oh no, we've got to get all the lyrics right. We can't misspell anything at all. All the lyrics have to be correct. We can't have any mistakes. Because I was just panicked and I had to just grab onto things. And as we've moved through these last 4 or 5 weeks, what I've realized is, it's nice to really strive to get things looking good and sounding good. And we want to keep doing that. But the bigger win is just when I hear people say, listen, I'm so glad to be able to see Cokesbury still worshiping together, still, see the people that we're familiar with, the worship leaders, even the camera people, the same camera people when they come on camera, and our pastors are there. And it's just a good centering thing. It's not just about sharing, hey, if you missed worship last week, you can jump and watch us online. That's not where we are anymore. This is, hey, we're here. We're thinking about you guys. We want to share this with you. We want to share this time with you. This is what we got. This is all we can do right now. And it's really important. Also, I know that we're just bringing new people, into the mix with us, and people would never come into Cokesbury or watching us online. I know it's having an impact with people, and I know it will have an impact in your churches too. Like I said, it breaks my heart when I look into that empty room, and when I saw a post by a church. It's like, we've never done this before, and here I am. All I have is a phone. What am I going to do? Listen, my heart's breaking for you, and we want to support you, and what we want to say is, man, don't stop. Keep at it. It doesn't matter what you do. Just do it. Just find a way to make something happen, and it will get better every time you try to do it. And we just wish everybody the best of luck. And if we can ever be a resource, man, reach out. We're always glad to help. We really, truly are.
Yeah, and I'll say that I love the fact that we can worship together from different churches, which I think has just been really kind of a cool thing. And like they've all said, don't give up. We've been doing this for 8 years. And so we've grown into a lot. We've messed up a lot. and we still mess up and we still do things. And again, we're all just growing and trying to strive for something new and trying to engage more people to come in and to be in the fellowship with Christ. And if you only have a phone, do it. If you have the budget to have a full-on production, do it. This isn't going away. This is just a great way for Jesus to be proclaimed through the world. And so I just love it. I think it's great. And I know you hear the cliche, we're all in this together. I mean, we're all in different places and all of that kind of stuff. But as a body of Christ, we are truly all together. And I just am glad to be a part of all of this.
And I guess one more note, don't feel afraid to expand and don't think there isn't any support out there. All of these companies that, sell all this stuff, I mean, or even the streaming companies, I mean, there is so much tech support out there that, I mean, I've been calling almost every day because, it's pretty much my job is to make everything work. And a lot of stuff has been working intermittently, but, no one will ever know because we're doing it. But anyways, there's a lot of support out there. And don't feel afraid to call these companies or just Google, for instance, if you're looking at the Black Magic stuff, just Google Black Magic tech support. And I've called them anywhere from 7 in the morning till about 9 at night, and they picked up. I don't even know what their hours are. They might be 24/7 for all I know. But I mean, there's a bunch of these companies that will pick up your call, that will answer your questions. So before you are looking at these, obscene amounts of money, whatever that figure might be, call and ask questions. They will tell you every in and out of that. I'd recommend writing down a list of questions. Actually, it's a good thing to do. I've started to do it recently just to keep up with them because I generally call with about 5 or 6. But it's a good time to expand because really you don't have to worry about anyone seeing the mess of cables that's coming out of your back of house closet, like is ours, because we have not finished our total integration install. But literally, I mean, it's times like these that it's perfect to expand, to grow technologically, because you don't have to worry about it. If you're really just focusing on camera shots, or even if it's from a phone, I mean, you don't have to pan to those spots of the room that just looks like, a total disaster because there are cables running above and below the floor. It's a good time to grow, and I would use it as efficiently as possible, and don't feel afraid to call and ask for help, because there are tons of resources for help out there, including Reddit. Honestly, Reddit has been really helpful for me. And a sense of lighting anyways. I wouldn't recommend them for everything because, it is Reddit and it is a totally open forum, but there are subreddits for stuff like Black Magic and, all these different production companies that where users will get back to you really quick too on really cheap workarounds generally, which has been really eye-opening for me. But like I said, I'm not going to condone anything that they say because it is Reddit, but there could be some helpful stuff there.
Yeah, and even just even on a more basic level, there have been several questions tonight that have said, hey, can you recommend like a tutorial for video editing, or a tutorial for how to do this or how to do this? That's a hard question for us to answer. I don't know if there's one thing that I can recommend, but what I will recommend is just about any specific question that you have, there's a specific video on YouTube that addresses it. And so rather than recommending to you, hey, here's a video or here's a playlist to teach you how to edit video, it's going to be a lot more helpful for me to just say, hey, any specific question that you have about using a program or a piece of equipment or some strategy, look for specific tutorials for that thing, and you should be able to find things. So if you're brand new to using iMovie to edit video, go on YouTube and say, like, how do I edit a video on iMovie? And even get more specific than that. How do I put background music underneath my video? How do I transition from one to the other? There are so many specific tutorials to do stuff like that. That's going to be your best bet, and that's far more valuable than me saying, hey, watch this specific video. All right, if you all don't have anything else, thank you all so much for watching. Paul, Terry, Chris, thank you so much for being on the call. We're already getting so many messages and everything saying how appreciative everyone is of your time. So the three of you, thank you so much for being here. As I kind of roped you all into, and people are asking, we will compile some of these resources that we've talked about and make a master sheet of all links and pictures and everything and anything that we talked about. We'll do our best to put that all in a document, and I'll put that out on the Facebook page as soon as possible. So thank you so much for watching. My contact information is on the, here's a big plug. If you are a church leader in Holston Conference, if you are a pastor or a youth director or a children's director, the conference started a group called Holston Conference UMC Ministry Leaders. It's something like that. It's one of the only groups that the Holston Conference page hosts. So you should be able to find it. If you search Holston Conference Ministry Leaders, you'll be able to find it. If you have more questions or you want to bounce ideas off people or you need some encouragement, that group is a phenomenal place to be. It's been around for a month now, and I think there's maybe 150 of us in the group, and it's such a great resource. It's a great resource for me, and for a lot of other people. So I bet a lot of you are already in that group, but if you are not, I highly recommend jumping into that group, request to join, and I'll add you immediately. But my contact information is in that group. Paul and Terry and Chris, maybe I can share your emails or something. If you all have any other questions, we would love to answer them. So thank you all so much. Let us know, keep everybody updated. Let us know how you're doing ministry at your church during this time. Thanks for watching. Bye.